probably. Word up, my people, or at least people. Bella, no, babe. Hold on, let me let the dog out. All right. So, it is a cool October morning. In the year of our Lord, 2021. I am sitting here with a cup of Joe. Thanks, Joe. This morning, I don't know where that fragment this morning came from. There's a nice Christmas to the air. There's a nice crispness. Oh my God. Crispness. The air is crisp this morning. It's mid-morning. It's like 10:30ish. I don't know what time it is, but I had a show last night, so I didn't get in until like 3 a.m. I don't have my phone. Oh, it's right here. So I'm tired. It's 10 a.m. I'm tired. Come on, buddy. Get up here. So I'm tired. I feel like I need to sit on this side. I feel like my composition of this shot is not quite up to par. Two things. Spoiler alert, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about my characters and where they come from. And I'm going to talk about my schedule. So let's start with the schedule first, because that's the part where I'm likely to go ballistic. I don't know if that's okay to say that like that. That's kind of dumb, but I am so tired. Now, granted, right this second, I'm super exhausted because I didn't get to bed until 3 a.m.-ish, 3:30-ish, somewhere around there, and I was up. Well, I was up before 10. I was up at like 9:30. Why am I up so early? What is happening? 10:09 a.m. What is happening right now? Oh, I see. I was reading the weather app widget for the time. The time is actually 12:39. So it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So when did I get up? So that's why I'm tired today, because it messes with my sleep pattern. And even though I got a good 7-8 hours of sleep last night, or 10, I got a good 10 hours of sleep last night, I'm still very tired today. And actually, too much sleep makes me feel tired the next day. But this is not an interview about my sleep patterns. This is about my wandering focus, my writing. So I'm tired because here's the thing. I am rebuilding my freelance business, and so this whole year I've been trying to rebuild that after COVID. And Chuck, my cat's wanting to rub on my pole. It's a challenge. Anyway, so I'm doing that. That's the point. As I'm trying to rebuild a freelance business that took a devastating blow in 2020 due to the pandemic, and I've gotten in decent shape, but it's a challenge, and it's going to be kind of an yo-yo up and down for a while, and then it'll just kind of, if all goes well, hover yo-yo style right at the top, where I have 5 or 6 reliable monthly contracts, but there will always be fluctuation in that, unfortunately. So I'm trying to do that. I'm also trying to get 2 books ready to launch in January and February of 2022. In between those 2 projects, I can't write because books 1 and 2 are written, right? And you've heard me talk about book 3, rewriting book 3. I cannot get momentum with that, and my efforts keep stalling out because I can't commit the time to it that I need to, because at this point I can only afford to commit 2 days per week to my book series, or that includes writing, but it also includes everything else. And I'm not going to go into it in this video, all the tedious minutia that goes into having to get a book published. Now, I will say this. I have self-published a novel before on Amazon, and hopefully you will not be able to find it until I've rewritten it and made it excellent. But so I'm not even going to tell you the name of it yet. I probably already have. Who knows? I talk a lot. I wrote the book. I downloaded a template, a book template from Blurb or BookBaby or Lulu or whoever, CreateSpace back in those days. I copy and pasted the text into it. I added a really, really terrible cover, including a really, really terrible title. And I self-published that baby, and I sold 1 copy. I didn't promote it and do anything with it. I just wanted to do it, and it was fun. And I wrote the entire novel. I kid you not. I wrote the entire novel in 2 weeks, and I got it. I self-published it like a week, maybe 2 weeks later, after I had, worked out a few things that I needed to work out with the manuscript that I wrote in 2 weeks. I had been outlining the book for about 6 months, but still, this was the first effort I'd ever made into writing a novel. And I wasn't even sure I could sustain a story for that length of time, for a novel length. But we'll come back to that. We'll talk about that later. Maybe, who knows? So yeah, I've self-published before, technically. But that book was not formatted correctly. Even with the template, I just didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't take the time. I just wanted to print that thing. I almost said a bad word, but I'm trying not to cuss unless I have a good reason to. Thank you. I just assumed you all said, "Oh, that's so good. Good for you." If you didn't, then fuck you. Anyway, with this series, and I know I've had to have said this before as much as I repeat myself to you and everyone else that will stop long enough in the grocery store line to listen to me just run my mouth. That's a joke, but I have told pretty much everybody I know. I don't want to invest all the heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears and any other fluids I got into this thing to get this novel to the best it can possibly be, and then fail it at the last moment because it's formatted poorly, or there are glaring typos, or any number of just easy mistakes that I could make that would take away from the professionality of the book. People say don't judge a book by its cover, but we all do. That's kind of the focus, the purpose of a cover is to give us something to judge. So cliche writers, do better next time. We judge books by their cover because a cover is supposed to represent what's inside the book. So, hello. No, I wouldn't suggest you doing that with people. Don't judge people by their covers. Unless it's very clear they're making a statement by what they're wearing or doing, and they won't. No, still don't judge people. So I wanted to get the series good, right? I want to do it right, and it would be even more of a terrible, terrible thing if I got this book right up to the right ready to cross that finish line, self-launched, self-published this thing in January, and I didn't know how to market it. I didn't market it well, and so it just kind of languishes on Amazon, That would be terrible because, my capacity to market this thing is really the only thing that can guarantee any chance of success. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't. We'll get into that. I haven't really started marketing yet, so I can't talk to that just yet. But here's the thing. In trying to do this book justice, both of them, it's so much work. It is so much work. It is so much work. And it is incredibly disheartening at times when I am so overwhelmed I can't figure out what to do. I just can't figure out what to do. I don't know how to do these things. And because of how my brain works, there are so many layers, there are so many moving pieces that, I can't see like the next thing to move, the next lever to turn, the next button to push, whatever, because all I see is this clutter of things that I have to do, and I don't know how to do them. And some things, you have to do this and this at the same time in order to get to that. But in order to do these things, this, you have to have this over here, and with this, you have. For example, I will have reviewers reading the book through Hidden Gems. I've paid for, I want to say 100 readers, up to 100 readers. I have to get that book to them by the end of this month, by Halloween. And so, hopefully out of those 100 people, hopefully, they have about an 80% read review rate. So hopefully, even if I don't get a full 100 people to read the book, hopefully I'll have between 50 and 80 reviews out of that, which is good. That would be a fantastic place to start with reviews on Amazon. And then there are like three other review sites. I think there are 3 others that I'm going to try as well. So my target is at least a minimum of 80 reviews. That would be fantastic if I could get that. We'll see how that goes, because that's not happened yet, and it won't happen. But in order for me to get the book to them, I need to have an EPUB version of the book ready to go. It doesn't have to be the final version, but I don't want to give them a non-final version and then have to format it again. For example, the book is proofed, it's ready to go. I have the final manuscript. I have all the illustrations for book 1, almost all for book 2. That's a different story. And so the book, just for all intents and purposes, I have to have the book published, right? Formatted before I can send it to my reviewers. I can't really sell it on Amazon to the point where Amazon takes it seriously until I have reviews. But I can't do that until the book is formatted and finished. And the other side of this thing is to get Amazon reviewers. I have to get people on Amazon to read the book or to find the book, whatever. I need to be building an email campaign, which means that I need to be offering things on my website, which means that my website needs to have stuff on it, which means that I need content to give, and I can only give the book away once per person. So why are they going to come back? Why are they going to be interested? Why are they going to sign up for my newsletter? I need supplemental stories. I need other things from the world of the series. I've got lots of that. I've got terms, I've got maps, I've got illustrations, I've got side stories, I've got mythology stories, I've got songs, I've got all this stuff that went into writing the series. The problem is all of that has to be edited and polished so that it reflects the quality of my writing that is reflected in the books. I can't, half-ass it on the website. You know what I'm saying? all these things. So it's so exhausting, so exhausting, so exhausting. And I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. And when you marry that with me trying to rebuild my freelance business, and also me where I love my house, but it's in the middle of nowhere and I can't get decent internet access, I literally have to drive to another town, I kid you not, to have reliable internet access. So it's at least a 20-minute drive or a 40-minute drive or an hour drive, depending on which city I'm going to. And I work in all of those. So, but, you know, so frustrating. So frustrating to live in the year 2021, but to live in a house and a neighborhood where the internet thinks it's 1997. That is very frustrating. For whatever. That's just an FYI. That's very frustrating. And know this, that you can self-publish quickly. If you finish your book, you can self-publish that baby in a matter of weeks. And maybe it'll be fine. But if you want any level of control over the quality of that finished product, whether it's an ebook or a printed book, it's time consuming. It is incredibly time consuming. There are a ton of moving pieces. Everything is online. Never before have we been able to do the things that we can do now because we live in the digital age with self-publishing, all of these things. I am grateful for that. I am grateful for the gift of being able to write and self-publish and have editors and marketers. I could hire illustrators or, you know, all of these things, anything that you would need in a traditional publishing route. I can find people to do those things for me, independent contractors, freelancers, but you know, that's expensive. And I still have to do the legwork of finding those people, even if I use reedsy.com, which I do to find my people. That's still time consuming. And at the end of the day, when it comes to marketing, I have to market my book because no one else has it all inside their head like me. And even if they did, they can't write with my voice. And it's all about me connecting with my people who are reading the book, or hopefully will read the book. So that has to be me. So there's all of these things. Writing is easy. For me, at least, writing is easy. It's everything else that's such a pain in the asshole. Asshole. Oh, sorry. I just crushed my cat. He's dead now, but it's fine. He doesn't mind. Which is a great segue, and by great, I mean it's a terrible segue into the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is my characters and where they came from. So the German who has been formatting my book, I was going to format it myself because I am a graphic designer, allegedly. I tried and I researched it, and my brain just shuts down. It's like, nope, check out. And then, you know, so I hired my friend, Anya, the German, to do the formatting. She does graphic work. She's worked in a printing house before. She's a photographer. So she has oh my God, she has the skills for it. And she's far, far better at following rules than I am, because I'd be like, nope, you didn't copy that formatting like you're supposed to, then eat a piece of doo-doo. I'm really trying not to cuss so bad. I'm so sorry. So she sent me the most recent PDF version of the EPUB last night, and it looks so good. Obviously, it looks so good. You know, seeing my book formatted, laid out with the illustrations, with the, you know, the afterward, the acknowledgments, all those things. It's fantastic. I think we've got 50 pages worth of terms at the back of the book, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I feel like I need adult supervision. And yes, Anya, if you're watching, you don't count as adult supervision in this situation. So she's been, you know, I was editing illustrations and everything. I got them all ready, but then she was prepping them because she knows more about that stuff than I do, like the color profiles and things like that. So she went back through and, oh my God, she's a German. They're known for their efficiency, right? But either way, she's like very professional and I'm not. Let's just put it that way. And I needed an author photo, and so I sent her a self-portrait that I shot of myself. I sent her 3. We agreed on one together. I look so happy and sweet, and I'm smiling, which is such a contradiction to everything in the book, which is, I love it. I'm wearing a shirt inspired by Paul Gaultier. Wait, is that his name? Did I say that right? She took an illustration, which is actually from book 2 of Elliot, main character in my story, in my photo. And so she merged those two. I'll show you the picture. Half my face, half Elliot's face. My chin is enormous, apparently, but putting those side by side, because Elliot came out of me. Like in the original dream, I was Elliot. You know, in the dream that inspired the book, I was Elliot. Like that was who I was. And just quickly, I know I've said this before, but in the dream, the first step was I saw a man take his 7-year-old son to this forest and give him off to these scarecrow hunters to go on a quest to become a man. Then it skipped forward, and that little boy was now a father, and he took his son, who was me, down to the same fence at the same forest and gave me to these same hunters. And then it skipped ahead, and it was me going down to that fence with my son. And so that was the inspiration for the book. Actually, the first 2 books in the series, The Scarecrow Hunters and Greedy Shadow. So the character in the story named Elliot is based on who I was in the dream. And of course, Elliot is not me in the books. He does not reflect my personality. He reflects very little about me other than I had the dream, and that was my role in the dream, was playing his part. However, there is a lot of my friend Nathaniel in Elliot, especially, I believe, in the first book. And then in the second book, there's a lot of my friend Daniel in Elliot. And it's not that clean. I think in the earlier years when I was working on the story, there was a lot of Nathaniel in the character of Elliot. But as the story evolved, as it got wider, as I began to add to it, and I began to settle into this writing and the story better and see it for its own thing rather than as a reflection of the dream that I had, because that was a challenge, because the dream was what it was, and I had to take that dream and just shatter it and then rearrange the pieces and make it a story that works for an audience. That's why I hired an editor. Because what I had done is I'd recorded the dream. Basically, as I had the dream, I just recorded it and filled in blanks here and there, and it didn't work. It didn't work. The structure was off. My time's about out. I'm going to have to restart my computer first. My computer. I just got out of the shower. That's why my hair is wet. That's why I'm wearing pajamas. In case anyone was curious. In case anyone was curious why I'm dressed like I just woke up. It's because I just woke up. Elliot's personality kind of grew out of, they say you write what you know. I'm not sure who they are, but they say you write who you know. No, they write what you know. My God. You write what you know. Or I write what I know. And so I would say that there was probably earlier on a fair amount of me in Elliot as well, because I was that character in the dream. But then as the story began to develop and I began to work on transitioning it from a record in a dream journal into a story, a short story, a novella, a novel, 2 novels. That was kind of the process over the course of like 8-10 years it went through to get to the book that it is now. I had to kind of divorce that character, unless I was intentionally going to write it as a fictionalized version of myself, which I don't have a problem doing, and I will do at some point. Elliot is a patchwork of he is his own being, but he's also kind of a patchwork of inspiration from other people. A little bit of me maybe, but more so my friends Nathaniel and Daniel, who do not know each other. I don't think they know each other. You know, in book 3, there's a character named Gray, which we'll finally meet. We hear about her once or twice in the first 2 books. And I remember when I was writing that book originally in 2018, the first draft of that book, I drew inspiration from my friend Anya, the German, but not who she is now, and not even who she was in high school when we first met and became friends, but who I perceived her as a high school senior German exchange student from Germany in an American high school in the rural South. Me with my limited worldview at the age of 18, and how I interpreted her style of communicating and, you know, interacting with people, and being very somber and serious, and it's funny to look back, and I don't even know if I did it intentionally, but I did draw a lot of inspiration for that character from my friend Anya, and I think that there was even a fair amount of inspiration drawn from another friend that I had named Terry. And again, that character is not either of those people. But, you know, where do these characters come from? I have characters that I've invented solely out of my imagination. But what is going on in my mind, you know, to inspire those characters? Is it that I genuinely invented them, or is it that I just have a catalog of personality traits of all or most of the people that I've interacted with during my life, and I just pull those traits down like ribbons and start braiding them together until I create a character? I kind of think that is. I kind of think that's the way it is. You know, thinking of book 2, there is a character, one of my favorite characters that I've written so far. Her name is Marta. She's an Aerie Marta. Marta is based on this tiny little Hispanic woman who spoke, I would say practically a prophetic word of encouragement to me when I was like 12 or 13. And she planted this seed. She was very honest and very direct. She did not know me, but she read me like that. And she pulled me close and said, listen. And she gave me advice. And it took years before I was even able to allow the word that she gave me to germinate and begin to take root and, you know, go from a seed into something that was growing in me, a plant, if you will. But that whole entire encounter lasted maybe 5 minutes. But she is heavily influenced Aerie Marta in the series. But the point I'm making is, I can tell you that Elliot is comprised or began as a series of ribbons, personality traits and things that I wove together, and I borrowed those from people that I knew. A little bit of me, a lot of Nathaniel, a lot of Daniel, probably bits and pieces from other people, and a lot of just what I've gleaned from watching human beings interact and think, and, you know, knowing how, you know, certain people think in different ways. But at the end, by the time that book reaches you, Elliot is not Daniel. Elliot is not Nathaniel. Elliot is not me for sure. Elliot is not any of these other people. Elliot is Elliot. Elliot is his own person. He exists independently of everyone else. And I can tell you, I love that Joker. Like, he is real. In my mind, Elliot is a real human being. So when my friend, the German, sent me this interesting picture that she had edited where she combined my face with Elliot's face, it was moving. Like, I didn't cry. Come on. But it was moving because this person, and I've talked about this a little bit when I talked about the illustrations, getting the illustrations from Logan. When I see Elliot when I saw Elliot for the first time, I did cry because I love that kid. I love him. Like, I love him like he was flesh and blood. Like, I would fight for him, and I have fought for him. Obviously, I'm fighting for him right now and trying to get this book ready to publish and doing it well, because Elliot deserves me giving him everything I can possibly give him to succeed. Yeah, so, but Elliot is Elliot. He's not Nathaniel. He's not Daniel. I see Elliot. I see Nathaniel in Elliot. Elliot's name came from Nathaniel. Nathaniel gave Elliot his name. That's Nathaniel's middle name, Elliot. I see Elliot. I see Nathaniel in Elliot. I see Daniel in Elliot, but mostly I just see Elliot, you know? The same with Gray. Gray is not Anya, not even a fictionalized version of the high school version of Anya that I knew. Gray is Gray, and she is developing and growing and becoming her own person in my mind as much as Elliot or Cora or Roland or Dathan or Leah or Martha or Lightfoot or any of these characters, you know. And when we get to book 3 and we meet Finn and Pedora, and even Silas later on, all of those characters are you know, they're braided together from these experiences, these people that I've known or met or whatever. But it's an interesting process to see where I begin to pull these characters together using these threads or ribbons, stick with your metaphor, and weave them together and then see them become something fully formed that is their own thing. That is an interesting process to me, and I'm not sure if that's, I suppose it is possible to just make up characters. I have made up characters. There are plenty of characters in the book that I don't have any real world reference that I can point to and say, that's where that came from, you know. And sometimes I will meet a character, I'll find a character in the most mundane of interactions with people. I see an interesting looking old fella sitting on a bench outside a, dollar market, and think he's going to end up in a book. Some people, just the way they look or carry themselves or things they say, you think, yep, they're going to become a character in my book. And that's an interesting thing because I can fictionalize anyone. Think of the power of that, assuming that people actually read my books. I can immortalize a person in either a good or a bad way by basing a character on them. Now, I am pretty vindictive, I think. I may do that one day. All right, I don't know. This was rambling. This may be worthless. Booshie. Huh? I think the takeaway, if you're looking for a takeaway, is... one, if you are an aspiring author, in particular, if you're an aspiring author who plans to self-publish, do not seek the treasure. Do not underestimate the power of the dark side. Do not underestimate the amount of time those last steps require. You would think writing the book would be the hard part. And then if you actually edit the book with an editor and with yourself, you'll think, oh no, this is the hardest part. Because writing, at least you can create, and the sky's the limit. But editing, you're refining, you're polishing, you're refining, you're polishing, you're whittling away, over and over again. That can be time consuming and tedious, and you think this is the hardest part. And then you finish that, and you get ready to self-publish it. And then you realize, oh, this is the hardest part. And for me, at least, it's the least rewarding. Other than seeing that finished book in my hand, there is no part of this process that I enjoy. So know that, and know that you need to account for that, because you don't need to get right at the end and then do a sloppy job of pushing through and trying to cross the finish line as quickly as possible. Give the book the attention and love it deserves, and know that that's not going to be easy and that's not going to be quick. And it is possible to hire people. And I would encourage you, if you're starting out now writing and you want to do this thing well, you're going to need to hire an editor. And for a normal book, you're going to spend $1,500 to $2,000 for an editor to do one edit, and a developmental edit, depending on how much they charge and how big the book is. I would say you can get a developmental edit for between $1,500 and maybe $2,200, somewhere around there. You're going to want, unless you're a marketer and you know how to market books, you're going to want some help with that. You're going to want help researching Amazon keywords and categories, and writing your blurb and making sure that it actually meets the specs of the industry, and you're not going to seem like an amateur when you put this thing on Amazon, and having good artwork for the cover, at least. All of those things, they're so important to the success of your book. And you're going to easily spend $1,500, $2,000 on proper marketing. And you're still going to have to do that work yourself. They're just going to tell you how to do it. Unless you can hire someone to manage the minutia of that. And I don't have any idea how much that would cost. I just know that I can't afford it. Know that you have to plan for that. So if you're at the beginning, go ahead and start saving for those things. And you don't have to do everything that I've done. You can eliminate certain things. I get my editor to do one developmental edit, and then I come back and I get her to do a proof at the end of that. And so she only really does one edit per manuscript. And then she proofs the final manuscript. But it would make sense to have a developmental edit, then a copy edit, then a proof. I'm not doing that because I can't afford that yet. So work within your own budget, but go ahead and start saving now, and also budget for time, because getting that thing ready to publish at the end is not going to happen quickly. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take effort. I mean, you can maybe get it done quicker than I am, but so that's my encouragement to you. And as far as the characters and all that, where they come from, what inspires them, that's mostly just here or there. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to stop talking. Peace out, home skillet. Do your thing. Have fun. If you get into the process of whether it's writing or anything in life, there are always going to be things that are not fun. They're not enjoyable. Everybody loves to go on vacation. Loves to go to the beach for a week or two during the summer. At least around here, that's where most people go. But driving to the beach is not fun. Driving back from vacation, not fun. Getting on an airplane, oh my God, it's exhausting. But that's kind of a part of going on vacation, unless you're going to staycation at home, right? So the best parts in life usually have elements that are less great, that make the best parts possible. So if you're writing and it gets tedious, you have writer's block, or you can't work out an issue, or you have to wait and save money before you can hire an editor or whatever those things are. Just remember, there's a good reason you're putting yourself through that. And keep doing it. Be encouraged. You got it. Now, put your best work out there. And in the meantime, live your best life. Be happy. You deserve it. Not you so much, but the rest of y'all, you do. So peace. Have a cup of coffee. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. What is wrong with me?